Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to my channel. My name is Joanna. If this is your first time joining me, thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. And my biggest wish and hope for you is that you receive some nuggets of information that you can use to empower yourself. That's ultimately what my intention is, for you to see your own power. I would love for you to click the like, share buttons, subscribe. It will tell you when I upload new content, and it helps the channel. I, for one, believe that every single individual should be aware of their power, but should is a relative word. In my own experience, feeling empowered versus feeling disempowered is much more preferred. Why wouldn't we want to feel empowered? So the more people that are exposed to this content hopefully will allow themselves to be and feel more empowered, such as yourself perhaps. For those of you who are returning, thank you so much for being here. Without you, I wouldn't do this. I love what I do. I love channeling. Because not only do I channel for you, but it's also this information that I channel is just, it's what I live for. It's so exciting. As many of you, most of you know, I channel information predominantly on almost human psychology and from a higher, let's say, spiritual perspective, and offer you perspectives. And these perspectives can help us change the world. And through those perspectives, we go out into the world. Then we essentially create what's known as a better humanity. But anyway, thank you for being here. Today's channeling feels a little bit different somehow. That's because I feel I have transitioned. So many of you are very likely in a space of transitioning, either within yourself, more likely than not, or you're in a transition right now, because we're all in transition as humanity. And but anyway, my job apparently is just to remind you why you are here. If you've ever wondered, what the hell am I doing here? So hopefully this is going to remind you why you are here, what your purpose is, why you are here, what does it mean to you individually. And also to help you see yourself as a whole individual rather than a lacking individual. And so why are we here? Well, if you're watching this, essentially, to put it simply, is you are here to help create change in the world. How? By shifting your own consciousness, by shifting your own vibration, which affects everything and everyone around you, because you are an energy. There's no beginning and no end to you. So to simply put, you're here to A, raise your own consciousness, and B, help to raise planet's consciousness. But the only way you can help planet's consciousness rise higher is by first taking care of yourself in terms of your own levels of consciousness. Okay, so if each person decides to consciously shift their vibration, and every single individual does that within themselves, the entire planet's vibrational field raises in frequency. And that's what you're here for. You're here to help raise the vibrational field of planet Earth. And that begins with you. What does it mean to raise your own vibration? Good question. To put it simply, to raise your own vibration is to help you see yourself for who you are, not for what you have been pretending to be. Not pretending because you're a bad person, but Your entire life in a human being is a one big pretend. Okay? There's so much more to you than your current human experience. And the more you realize that about yourself, the more you rise in frequency. Because the more you realize about yourself, the more you realize that you are part of all that is. Some call it consciousness, some call it God. That is the highest vibration there is. So the more you remember that, and I'm here to remind you, the higher you will vibrate. Okay. Essentially, that's what it means. Okay. Now, how do I say this? This field, let's call it a God source, is not so much something that we are seeking, because to seek something means it's not in you. It has to be somehow outside of you. Humans have been seeking God as a source that's outside of themselves. Here's the problem. You'll never find God over there. Why? Because God is within you. And you are a part of that. It is a part of you. And period. If you can get that into your head and let that be your mind, your life drastically changes and shifts. You realize what you are seeking is always within you. Not outside of you, it's within you. You are seeking God's source experience. Why are you seeking it? It's not out there, it's inside of you. So does it mean that we shouldn't seek it? No, it's not that we shouldn't seek it, but we should instead recognize what is already inside and stop pretending that we are not worthy of it. It's ridiculous. How can you be not worthy of something that is already a part of you? Well, I guess the only thing you could do is you could deny it. That you can do. By thinking of yourself in limiting ways, you are denying the God source that is you and that is within you. Now, why on earth would you want to do that? This is the sort of information that you don't remember, and I'm here to remind you. Okay? So number one, what you are seeking always is always inside of you, never ever outside of you. I'm going to let that sink in. Your mind is the source of your own experience. You create your experience with your mind. Without your mind, there would be no experience. You cannot have an experience without the mind, because all is mind. How you choose to see something in your mind affects what you think and what you believe about yourself. What you think and what you believe about yourself is the product of your mind. Your mind is like a force. It's a very powerful, creative force. Every experience that you have created in some way, shape, or form, on some level, with your own mind. I'm hearing someone saying, how could I do that to myself? Well, you didn't deliberately decide to have a shitty experience on a human level. You just did the best you could with what was presented to you. You didn't fail. It wasn't because you deserved something bad. It's because your soul, it's like your soul is in a school and it's trying to learn a certain subject, and it's a very difficult subject to grasp. Just because it's a difficult subject that you are studying does not make it ultimately good or bad. It's just challenging, it's difficult. Human school is difficult. And it's difficult primarily because of the very dense fear-based programming. So what humanity is seeking right now more than anything is to understand its own programming and the source of its programming. Okay? When we understand our own programming, we understand how things work. When we understand how things work, we can come up with better solutions, a better way of doing things. But we cannot do that, we cannot achieve that without shifting our minds. So humanity is seeking a deeper, richer, more meaningful, more loving experience as a whole. Humanity is seeking to be in fifth vibration, where its predominant space of vibing is the heart. That's ultimately what humanity is seeking. In fact, it's what you're seeking too. You just want to be loved. You want to love, you want to be loved, and you want to do it freely, without confinements, without restrictions. Why? Because this way of being is way closer to home, what home really is for you. So we could say humanity's going back home. It's going back home to what really is, and what really is quite simple. There's nothing other than consciousness and unconditional love. Everything other than that is the mind's own creation. So if we are seeking as a whole a state of bliss on a regular basis, we have to project that bliss into the world. If you want to feel something, create it. If we want to feel good as society, let's create ourselves feeling good, ourselves. A lot of the programming that we have as humans is not really conducive to feeling good about ourselves. From the very moment we come into this world, doesn't matter who you are, at a certain age, you begin to understand yourself. Your ego is forming as a result of your experiences. So you hear things like, you can't do this, you're not supposed to do this, you're too small, you're too this, you're too that, no, don't say that, oh my God, don't do this, what are people going to say? And we begin to form our own opinions on what world is like, or what it's supposed to be like. And if there are many limiting conditions that we are holding on to as our own framework for how we see our lives, then we cannot possibly create a different life, a new life. So essentially what I'm saying is, we as humanity first have to come out of our own inner prisons. And everyone is in some sort of an inner prison, doesn't matter who you are, it's just a human condition. But having said all of that, we are here to remember that we are not that. We are not our conditions or conditioning, we are not our limitations, we are not our bodies, we are so much more than that. And that realization creates a very different vibration. Why? Because once again, you're being reminded that all you ever need to do in order to have a different experience is to change your perspective or perspectives about the experience that you are having. Change how you see things. If you begin to see things from a positive space, every experience, instead of a negative space, your entire life is going to change, because that's where your focus goes. If your focus goes towards positivity, you are likely to experience a lot more positivity in your life. Does that mean that some things are not going to happen? No, some things are meant to give you a challenge, but you approach it from a much more positive space, which is a very empowered space. On the other hand, when you are coming from a fear-based programming, you limit yourself. You keep yourself small. You oftentimes keep yourself invisible. And that's because those thoughts are the byproduct of a negative or limiting fear-based conditioning. When you're in fear, it's very hard to be positive. Can we agree on that? That doesn't mean we shouldn't feel fear, but yeah, I'd leave it. Okay? What we are saying is this. When you begin to realize or remember how your mind works, when you begin to see yourself from a completely different perspective, when you begin to remember who you really are, why you are here, what your purpose is, which is to love, that is going to, A, raise your frequency, and B, it's going to change your entire life, your entire existence. For the positive and for the better. So, you listening to this are a brave soul who is choosing to consciously create a new experience for yourself. This is why you're choosing to see, this is why you're seeking out this information, so that you can have a different experience. And there are many different experiences available to us. But if we are not open to these experiences, then they're not going to happen. So by changing our minds, by shifting our minds, by shifting our perspectives, we are opening doors to other possibilities, other opportunities. Perhaps a much greater life. Can I say it that way? So, as you might have guessed, we are in transition. Not too difficult to see that right now. We're in transition. What is this transition about? This is all me reminding you why you are here and what your purpose is. And I'm just reminding you of what you already know. I'm just a reminder. I'm just an echo. Okay. What is this transition about? Let's look at it from a logical analogy. When you transition from point A to point B, you are first assuming that there's a separation that's taken place, okay? And when you position yourself in A, in order to get to B, you have to go through this little journey, okay? That's a little distance away. And this journey is what's called the transition time, transition period. Essentially, we are somewhere in between. What does that mean, to be somewhere in between? It's literally being between two different worlds. I'm being asked to define what they mean by world. What they mean by world is, dimensionally speaking, it's dimensional, but it's frequency. It's basically frequency. So it's not a physical world, although it is. It's a frequency. It's a frequency. So we are shifting from point A to point B frequency-wise, and we are in transition right now. Okay. Transition often feels very shaky because we're no longer on solid ground. We are somewhere in between. Okay? During transition is often, more often than not, is where our fears rise up. When we are in a transition, oftentimes fear will rise up. Okay? So the transition time is very much about confronting our own fears. What does it mean to confront a fear? But to look at it. Don't run away. Don't pretend it's not there. Go, damn it. Okay, I'm going to look at you right now. What do you want? Okay. You might be surprised what you get when you ask your fear the question, hey, what do you want? Oftentimes your fear will say, I just want to save you. Oh, you mean you work for me? Yes. Been trying to tell you that, but you're not listening. You're trying to run away from me. You pretend I don't hear, I don't exist. I invite you to have a conversation with your fear. Imagine it as something or someone standing in front of you. Make it as focal point as possible and have an exchange with your fear. It's an aspect of you. It's an aspect of you. It's a source of information, and let it show you why it's there. So rather than trying to oppose it, work with it. Understand its behavior. Why is it there? Why is this fear still there? Where is it coming from? What is it produced by? In other words, what is the trigger? What triggers it? Okay. For many people, when we go through transitions, our safety programming gets kicked up a notch. And that's because as we transition, we often don't feel as safe. So you are likely not feeling as safe as you'd like to be. Although everything is fine, well, maybe not where you are, but it's just this sense of almost like lack of relaxation. Okay? So, why are you going through this process? You might be asking. If it's uncomfortable, it's shaky, I don't feel safe, why the hell would I want to do that? Because as a soul, you've decided that's what you're here to do. So you are going through this process, and yes, it's uncomfortable. That level of change is always going to be uncomfortable, because what you are talking about is change in your own programming. It's massive. It's a deconstruction process. It's massive. That's why transition takes time. Okay? So recognize your own individual purpose in this process. It's very important for you to remember that you are here as an individual to contribute to humanity's well-being, to humanity. Okay? You are here for that. You're here to love and all kinds of other things, but you are here basically to help shift planet's consciousness. Okay? That's hard. Why is it hard, they're saying? Tell them why it's hard. It's hard because we're not used to doing things in a different way. It's hard because it's our programming. We don't think about it. Okay? But what we think affects our future. And in order for you to raise your own vibration and help humanity's vibration overall, is to recognize your own inner programming. So you're here to help raise planet's consciousness by looking at your own inner programming and realizing what a program is. Okay? So if you think of a computer, a program is some kind of structure that helps you accomplish a certain task. I'm not a programmer, so I have no clue what that would even mean. But but just like in a computer, you can declutter the old programming. You can put on a new programming. You can change. And you are realizing that by holding into old programming, you are not allowing for change. So that's number one, recognizing that you're not allowing for change. But also choosing or deciding to have a different experience and ask yourself, who do I need to be? What do I need to believe? What kind of program do I want within me to help me achieve this other experience? And that means that you will have to change inside of you. You change you. I don't change you. God doesn't change you. Angels don't change you. Your guides don't change you. No one changes you. You do. You do. So as we go through this transition, it is important that we are flexible. The more rigid we are, the harder the experience is going to be, because, well, flexibility is required, and that's like a multi-layered message there. Okay. When you are flexible, you're less likely to resist this transition. And remember, transition is not easy. Okay. The less resistance you feel, the more pleasant your experience becomes. So it's important that we don't resist this transition. And I'm asking, well, could we say, I don't want to go in this direction? Could we say, I don't want to go through this transition? I guess you could say it to yourself, but it doesn't matter, it's going to happen. You are part of this transition. It is what it is. You can either be part of it and move with it, or you can you can oppose to it and just be stuck. But it's going to feel increasingly uncomfortable. Okay? Process of change requires change. Change is uncomfortable. And change is necessary. In fact, change is the only constant. So you, we are constantly changing, but right now we're talking about a big change. Okay? It's the type of change that we are going through that I see a future human, and we look very different. We still look like humans, but we're, first of all, the energy is very blue. It's a very, blue. The frequency is blue. The frequency is blue, whatever that means. It's a higher frequency. And I see this being in authority, but there's no judgment around. There's no, oh, thank you. There's way less ego. The ego is still there, but it's kind of minimal. I'm like, wow, that's a very high vibrating human or person or being. And so we are in a process of becoming that which I just saw. Okay? That's pretty cool. So what that essentially says is that it's not that our ego is dying. It's our own experience through the eyes of ego is changing. And it's changing because we're choosing to remember that we are more than just our ego. And that our ego is very limited. And our ego is very finicky. It judges a lot. There's nothing ever wrong with that. But if we are used to being consumed with our 3D aspect only, then we lose the connection to this other aspect of ourselves, which is a higher version of ourselves. So what is it that I'm saying here? Be prepared for major changes in terms of how you function in the world. I'm grabbing the words major changes. I'm like, ugh. And again, here's mind programming. Major changes does not mean bad, but that's where my mind went. If they said major, that means bad. No, major can be good, can be quite positive as well. Major. Okay, so there's some big opportunities awaiting for us, and those opportunities are presented to me as challenges, and each challenge allows us to gain an even greater perspective. So it sounds like we will be faced with challenges. Everyone is on some level on regular basis. For you being in a traffic jam waiting for 30 minutes because there was an accident, for you that may be a big deal. Okay? I hope that made sense. So what is your role in it? What's your role in this? Well, your individual role in this, and the reason why you're being here, is to, again, open your mind to higher consciousness, which I believe this is what you're doing. Otherwise, you wouldn't be drawn to this frequency. Okay? So realize that whatever it is that you're here to do, you are likely already doing it. Okay? It feels right. You are also blessed with the understanding that there is more to you than you think. When I say blessed, it's not in a religious way. It's not blessed because you're special. You're blessed. It's like, oh, thank God I remember. It's like, how do I explain it? I don't know how to explain it. You seem to have this awareness that there is more to you than your thoughts. Okay? That's all to do with programming. Okay? Some of you may have been born with it. Some of you are just becoming aware of it. Some of you have been in recognition of it for a very long time, and some of you still don't remember. And you seeking opportunities to know about yourself, such as right now, gives you more tools, more information, so that you can create new things in your life. To realize how much of a powerful creator you really are. You're essentially a magician, if you really think about it. You create life, or the illusion of life. So you're a very powerful being, but you still have 3D world to live, bills to pay. I get all that. It's about how to live in both, how to be the 3D human that has bills to pay and chores to do, with the understanding that you are essentially an essence of God. How do you merge the two? Well, don't merge. You already merged. Don't deny it. Simple as that. Just don't deny it. That's all you have to do. Stop denying it. How do you deny it? Well, for example, when you say to yourself, I'm not good enough, that's you denying the God within you. That's it. That's it. That's all there is to it. Well, how can I do that? You can do it easily. You can just decide one day that this is your truth and say, okay, from now on I believe, and see what happens. You might shock yourself. But what about all these programming? So you made a decision that you're going to believe that you are part of Source, whatever name you want to give it. Now what? Well, see what happens. Wait and see. Keep reminding yourself every day that you are Source, and Source is within you. Source of all that is within you. Source of all that is within you. Hear that. Source of all that is within you. In other words, what is within you is limitless. No, not your body. The you, the real you, the you I am reminding you of. The you that's beyond your ego. Okay? You know all this. You just need a reminder, just like Joanna did. So I will keep on reminding you every single time I get a chance. You are more than your thoughts, you're more than your beliefs, you are more than your emotions, you are certainly more than your fear. You're so much more than that. There's so much more to you. Always. Always. Just a fact. What you do about it, that's entirely up to you. All I want you to know is that you have a choice. You have a choice in how powerfully you show up, or you don't. So if you choose to show up not powerfully, let it be your choice. Nobody else. Your choice. You choose how you want to feel. Easiest way to do this, look at your programming. What does your programming tell you about you that makes you feel the way you feel about yourself? Remember, your program is your program. It's not, you are not the program. Okay? You have a program. Okay? In fact, the program works for you. It doesn't work for the neighbor, it works for you. Programs work, and they do. You may just not like the result of that program. Okay? Especially fear-based programs. Fear-based program is a program, but fear is not you. You are not it. You have it, but you're more than fear. And we have a very interesting relationship with fear. We fear the fear, yet fear is there for a reason. I understand we don't want to feel fear. That's not a pleasant place to be. But to be afraid of your own fear When you're afraid of your own fear has control over you. I want you to see that. Your own fear in your mind has control over you. I don't have control over you. You have to give me permission for me to control you. Now, I understand that doesn't happen on a conscious level, but this is what we're talking about. I want you to remember the power you have in the idea of choosing. And how life is choice after choice after choice after choice after choice after choice. We just are not conscious of these choices that we are making. And becoming conscious of the fact that we are actually making choices, albeit on an unconscious level, makes us go, oh, I'm making a choice. If I am making that choice, then there must be another alternative. There always is. We just don't practice the other alternative. And there are many, 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 many alternatives. But anyway, where were we? So that's your role. Your role is to be reminded that you are here to help shift humanity's consciousness. You're not doing it alone. You're not here to save the world. You are not exclusively picked to do that job because you can't. You are here to do that by shifting your own consciousness, by connecting to your own God source, or whatever name you want to give it. And it is that consciousness within you that makes you vibrate differently, and that affects the rest of the world. Okay? So remember, your responsibility is always to you first. Always to you. You are your biggest responsibility. I'm not saying that you don't have responsibilities. I'm not saying that, but you are your own biggest responsibility. Okay? What else do I want to say? You are likely someone who, I'm supposed to say the word healer. You have this funny relationship with the idea of being a healer. It's like, so you are someone who's likely a healer, but your relationship with it is at odds. You're at odds with the part of you that is a quote-unquote healer part of you. And that's a very big part of you. We all have that part of us in ourselves. We all have a healer part of ourselves. We do. I don't know who this is for, but I wonder if there's someone listening that is struggling with the idea of being a healer, being called a healer. Your relationship with the idea of healer, it's I can feel it in my chest. It's like there's anxiety around it. I feel like the universe wants you. I don't know who this is for, maybe for just one person. I see the universe opening door to you, and the universe is asking you to go through the door. You don't know what's on the other side of that door in terms of what it looks like. What you do know is that it's an elevated space. It is way better than where you come from, but you don't know what it is. Okay? And in order for you to find out, you have to trust it. You have to take a leap of faith. You have to, and I feel like you're being pushed into this new space. And at first you're a little bit bewildered, and then you find your footing and off you go. Okay, so this message is for someone, maybe many of you, but at least for one person. Don't dismiss your gut feelings about it. You have whoever you are, you have a gut feeling, and that can go towards, that can be a message for anybody essentially. Because we're in this transition period, chances are there will be doors that will be opening to us and other doors will be closing. And you can't have both. You can't have the old and the new. You can't. It's either you stay where you are or you take a leap of chance, a leap of faith, take a chance. And I see many people taking chances and leap of faith that allow them to feel more in charge and in control of their life. That's what I see. I'm just looking and I'm asking the question, okay, if everyone is in charge, if everyone feels it is in charge, I'm like, what does the society looks like? And then I realize, wait a second. If we all feel in charge of ourselves, there's no need of something above us to be in charge of us. That makes sense to me. I don't quite know how it makes sense to me, but it makes sense to me. In other words, when we live in an empowered state, when we remember who we are, essentially, we create a completely different life for ourselves. And it's not that we don't seek direction, it's we're not relying on others to tell us what to do and how to be and how to live. And everyone has enough common sense to know what the right or wrong thing is. So there is almost like no need for hierarchical structure to be there. I mean, there may be some, but a lot less. So it looks to me that if we don't want to have these entities telling us what to do, quote unquote, then that literally means we have to find our own power so that we can become empowered individuals. And as a result of that, these structures disappear. They don't exist anymore. So again, it goes right back to you and I. It goes to the very responsibility. You are your biggest responsibility. We are looking at things that we may not feel comfortable with. That's okay. I know what that's like. Remember, transition implies discomfort. Don't let your emotions, which may be turned up a notch over the next little while, don't let your emotions tell you that because you feel how you feel, scared, for example, that automatically this means that there is something wrong. You having fear does not automatically mean that there is some danger, that there is something wrong. It simply means that you are being triggered right now. Okay. Now, working with the unconscious and emotions and things like that, I've seen and I've learned that triggers are amazing source of information. I freaking love triggers. Triggers are gold. When you are triggered, it's an opportunity for you to look at what does this trigger represent? Because chances are it represents something old, outdated, that you are still holding on to, and it would be maybe a good idea or behoove you to let it go, which means you have to do some healing work around it. Okay? During this transition, many people will feel many things as challenges arise, and it's about how we meet these challenges. How we meet them, we either progress forward or we stay behind. From what I'm seeing, it would be almost impossible for us not to move forward, but I do see that there is some resistance to it. Some parts of humanity don't want to change. In other words, not everyone is on the same page. So we are seeing a lot of opposition. Why would that be? Because the current human trajectory is all about regaining power, personal power. And the old structures are built on people believing they have no power. So if we are moving to this empowered state, then those old structures, old ways of being, old ways of living, will eventually have to be collapsed. And those who are tied to these organizations as their livelihood and bread and butter, they're not going to want to change. So opposition is quite normal during the state of these transitions. It is basically, it's like the old world meets the new world, and the new world is the one that survives, and the old world eventually dissipates. It's a very metaphorical message, and I feel like it's pointed in a certain direction, but see if you can pick it up. Not only I felt this was about United States, it's about the whole planet as a whole. This is happening everywhere. There's opposition, two sides. The more our frequency rises, the more we're going to see the drastic differences. It's almost like in order for us to be unified, we have to go through a space of separation first. Separating from the old in order to experience something new. Try not to hold on anything that is quote unquote dying or needing to be let go of. And this is on many levels, physically, emotionally, belief system, of course. Just know that fear is very much part of this process. Okay? So when a fear comes up, understand that it's coming up for a reason. Okay? Your fear has reasons for being there. Okay? Allow yourself to talk to your fear and ask it what it's there for. Ask it to communicate to you what it needs. What does it need to feel satisfied? Because let's face it, the moment your fear is satisfied, it's no longer a fear. Okay? And this requires some shadow work, some inner child work. All those wonderful tools can be used for a deeper healing. But a lot of it you can do on your own. You can communicate with any emotion. You can communicate with any element in your body. It's fascinating. But yes, the point I'm trying to make is that don't feel bad because you're feeling a little bit of fear right now. Sometimes a lot. Okay, don't pretend that it's not there. Number one, don't deny it. Don't wallow in it if you can. Certainly don't try to run away from it because there's nothing to run away from. It's inside of you. Just take a deep breath and just ask yourself this question. What's being triggered right now? What trigger is being triggered right now? And a lot of you will get the idea around safe. You're not feeling safe. That'll be majority for people who will get what we'll get is not feeling safe. And to me, what it shows is that it's the consequence of how unsafe we feel in our world all the time, not just through this transition. So fear-based insafety are going to come up. But those are often old wounds that need to be healed that are coming from the past. So you are likely to get triggered right now, and these triggers expose old unhealed wounds. And when they are in your face, they're a lot easier to deal with. Even just the recognition that you still have some certain wound is often enough to begin the healing process. Okay. Also, remember, don't deny yourself any feeling. Okay. If you feel a certain way, don't say, "Oh, that's stupid, I shouldn't feel that way." You feel what you feel. There's no feeling isn't right or wrong. Feeling simply is. It's an expression. Okay. It's vibration. Don't deny yourself how you feel. It is okay for you to sometimes feel scared. It's perfectly normal. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. it's only when we are stuck in that becomes a problem, because then that's all we have, that's all we experience. It's just a lot of fear, which is not safety, right? So use this transition as an opportunity to help you remember who you are, that you are not your fear, that you are not your programming, that you are not your thoughts, that you are not your emotions, and that there is so much more to you than you can see or perceive. And pretty much all of your experience is the product of your own inner programming. Try that one for a size. And also remembering that your thoughts are very creative. Your thoughts are a powerful tool. The less time you spend fearing something, the more you focus your attention somewhere else automatically. Okay? That doesn't mean that if there is something happening and you're scared, it might be a very valid feeling, and it may say, hey, you need to do something about it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's perfectly fine. It's perfectly normal. In fact, if it wasn't there, I would be worried. No. What you don't want instead is you don't want to get stuck in that fearful space. What else? It's okay to relax a little, okay? Having a cigarette does not make you not a spiritual person. You are spirit embodied, doesn't matter what you do, okay? So, I don't know why I'm saying this. If you want to have a glass of wine, or if you want to have a cigarette or whatever else, just, be responsible, be smart about it. If you want to have, something pleasurable that you enjoy in your life, don't tie it to you being not spiritual, or don't let someone tell you that, oh, you're not being spiritual because you had wine. Unfortunately, that's their ego talking. Okay? No judgment here. Always be responsible, though. Okay? I don't know why I needed to say it to somebody. Okay? Being spiritual doesn't mean anything other than you are conscious that you are also a spirit, and that you are part of source. That's what spirituality is. It's you're it. I hate to tell you, you're it. Well, I love to tell you, but is there anything else I want to say? Some of you might get to a space where you're not remembering things. That's okay. Remember, you are in the process of really, realistically losing your own mind. I know that when I go through that process, I forget what I did 5 minutes ago. It's a joke. But if you get to that space where you are forgetting things all the time, doesn't necessarily mean there's something wrong. Now, if you're really concerned, yes, go check it out. But for the majority of you, it's just part of the process. You are literally in the process of losing your mind, which comes with its benefits, but it also has its moments. Okay? The whole idea of not knowing what you just, what you were doing a minute ago. It's like you're completely, it's like you thought you were somewhere, you thought of something, and then the next moment you're like, it's almost like you're shifting frequencies. That can become a little bit alarming, they're saying to me. So, last but not least, always remember that your true home is always inside of you. Your true home, where you come from, your home is always inside of you. The safer you feel inside, the safer you feel at home. Now, for some people, the very idea of home is very alarming. They had not had really good homes. But the general idea of a home traditionally is thought of as cozy, warm, familiar, safe. At least that's what home should be. And if we're not feeling that, well, that's a problem, right? So, focus on yourself first, then focus on others. This is not saying drop your responsibilities, just FYI. No, it's not permission for you to drop all your responsibilities. It's about knowing that when you take best care of yourself, you show up your best self to others. In other words, when you take care of you, the world benefits. Okay? Also, don't limit your opportunities of growth. If there is something that you are uncomfortable doing, but you want to do it, but it's like, I'm not going to do it. Choose the discomfort to move through the discomfort so that you can have an experience on the other side of it. Choose something that's uncomfortable and see what happens. Take a risk, take a chance. Believe in yourself, take a risk, believe in yourself, take a risk on yourself. Take a chance on yourself, I should say. Do you believe you can do something? Go do it. What if I fail? What if you don't? And again, the idea of failure depends what failing means to you. Okay? Maybe it could mean, what if I fail and I don't make money? Well, trust me, if you're not making money, you're going to come up with plan B. That's what's going to happen, because that's what you do. Right? Don't worry so much about what might not happen. Be curious and excited what could potentially happen. Oh my gosh, this is what could happen for me. I could be walking around not having a faintest idea or thought about needing more money. Like it's just, I'm totally satisfied. Have curiosity about having that experience. Completely takes you to a different realm. And just embody the feeling of it. See how it feels. We have all as humans so many different tools, inner technologies that we can use to create a different experience, but most humans have no clue. We have no idea what's at our disposal. No idea. Because it's either been conditioned, we've been conditioned out of that, or we've never been reminded. I'm here to remind you. That's all. That's all. I'm not here to make you believe anything. You be the boss of what you believe. I don't want to be responsible for what you believe. No, too much work. I can barely keep up with what I believe. Be kind to yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. Some people go to amusement parks and they love the thrill of roller coaster. I've had that experience once in my life, never again. Hated every nanosecond of it. In fact, I think I just wanted to jump off. I was terrified. Some people love it. They have that feeling and they love it. Life is sometimes like that. Well, sometimes it's a lot like that. Yet, even when I wanted to get off the ride, I wasn't able to because it was in process. I had to wait to the end. I had to endure it. And I got off and I made a decision. I said, I will never do that again. My mom said I was pale as a ghost. That's one way to scare a kid. Anyway, I hope this was helpful to you. Thank you so much for being here, for listening, for going through your own process, for saying yes to the process because you're saying yes, for being brave enough to do it, to go through it, and for just moving on. Because waking up is not easy to do. No, it is not a piece of cake. I don't care who you are and what you say. If it's a piece of cake, then this is not happening for you. Let's put it that way. Now, don't expect it to be necessarily hard, but transitions are uncomfortable. There's no point beating around the bush. Thank you so much for being here. I look forward to seeing you again. And yeah, there's some links on the bottom. I will be announcing something really exciting in August or September. I haven't done for 3 years. Super exciting. So if you want to click on one of the buttons there, you'll get notified. And happy July, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.